Hey everybody, this is Danny with Legendary Muscle, and today I'm here with Jerry and his 1966 Sunbeam Tiger. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it.
So Jerry, how long have you had this car?
I've had it 52 years now.
52 years, huh?
Bought it in 1971.
Wow. What's the story behind it?
The story behind it was my brother-in-law bought the car, and I fixed it up for him, got it running again for him. And after about 6 months, he decided he wanted to sell it. So I bought the car from him and fixed it up some more, and it's still here. Okay.
So what was wrong with the car at the time?
I had a clutch out of it.
Really?
The clutch was out of it. Nobody wanted to change the clutch in it. These cars are hard to work on because there's no room for it. So I changed the clutch out on it for him, and he sold me the car.
Wow. How much did it go for back then?
$1,200.
$1,200?
Yes.
Wow. What's the value on these things now?
About $50,000.
Good deal.
Yes.
So anyway, Sunbeam Tiger. This is a little bit of a Frankenstein, isn't it?
Yeah, Carroll Shelby got involved with the Sunbeams, and there was a Sunbeam Alpine that came out, the 4-cylinder model, and then he decided to go ahead and try to make a Sunbeam with the V8 in it, and Carroll Shelby did all the design work on it, and they stuck a small block Ford in it.
Okay.
And that's the start of the history of the Sunbeam Tiger.
Huh. So these cars were originally made in England, right?
Yes, sir. They were made over in England, right. They were sold by Chrysler.
Okay.
Chrysler had the dealership on them. It still has the original Panastar on the side of the car, so it shows it was made by Chrysler.
So this, at one point, it is a Mopar.
Right. At one point, it was a Mopar, but with a Ford motor in it.
Wow. Yeah. Did this actually come in black?
It was originally black. It was a black car. Okay.
So how many because it's a 50-year-old car. I mean, I'm sure it's gone through a couple of transformations, but you had it since what?
1971.
So it was 5 years old, right?
Right, about 5 years old, but they had painted it yellow.
Okay.
It was out of Washington State, and up there so doom and gloomy, they painted it yellow, and
something has to shine up there.
Right, has to shine up there. So, and one time I was at a car show, a Sunbeam show, and they were doing the VIN numbers on it, and they said, "Too bad you painted it the wrong color, because I'd painted it green."
Oh, okay.
And I said, "What do you mean I painted the wrong color? I didn't want to paint it this color." And they said, "No, number 1 is black." And I said, "Okay, if I ever repaint it again, I'll paint it back to black."
Okay, so black, I guess, was their first choice for this car, huh?
Right, that was the first choice for it. Yes.
That's nice. So the car, it's a decent sized car. I meant for a little convertible back then. And these actually compare themselves with the AC, the Cobras, right?
Yeah, they were poor man's Cobra, they would call them.
And Shelby did kind of the same thing, what he did with the Cobra with this car, correct?
Correct, yes. Carroll Shelby was involved with them. So, but like I said, it was really funny because they were sold by Chrysler. That was really, I don't quite understand the whole thing behind that, but...
That's pretty funny because you get a British car with an American Ford V8 sold at a Dodge dealership or a Chrysler dealership. Yeah. Now, how many cars were these made during the production year?
I can't be certain exact number, 7,400 I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Right around in there.
Somewhere in that
don't
ballpark.
Quite quote me for that, but we plus or minus, Okay.
So the suspension on this, I mean, did you lower this car at any point, or is this the way? Because I see that your stance with your wheels and everything fits really nice in there. I mean, what's with your suspension setup? How is it set up?
A lot of different springs in the front end to get the right height. I put a different rear end in it and had to redo the springs in the back. Okay. And I wanted the right height to be right, so it took a lot of work.
Okay.
It wasn't. I didn't take it to a shop. I did all the work myself.
Okay, so you've been hands-on with this car.
Hands-on all the way. You take it to a shop and they just shake their hand and just say, "Nope, it's just too difficult to work on." So since I've been around cars all my life, my grandfather had a station, a shop and stuff. So when I bought this car here, the clutch was out of it, so I replaced the clutch for my brother-in-law, and then he sold it to me.
So what kind of brakes does this have on it?
This has disc brakes all the way around now.
Okay. What did these come initially with?
Disc brakes on the front, but drum brakes in the back.
Okay.
But I've changed the back to a Chrysler 3/4 rear end now, and put Ford disc brakes back there. I've done quite a few modifications on it.
What kind of wheels are those?
Rod lights that...
little drag racing wheels?
Yeah, right, drag racing. But then again, Rod Light worked with me to get the right offset on it. you know, and so it's,
oh, so these are custom made for your car?
No, but they sent me all the information on, you know, the measurements and stuff, you know, and then I had to, but they helped, they really, you know, they set them up right, just send them back to us and we'll make a change, you know, so.
Okay, that's cool.
And, they fit really nice. I wanted to tuck them, you know, I didn't want, I just, the stain flared out fender wells, I'm sorry. But,
yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So the interior, obviously I see some racing seats in there. Did you modify the whole interior? Because it does have the roll bar and everything.
Right, you know. Yeah, the little bucket seats that I had in it, you know, they were really uncomfortable. And then when I started drag racing, I couldn't get the shoulder harnesses on them and, you know, this and that, so I didn't get them to fit, so I put the race seats in it.
Okay. And was that the only modifications you did inside, or did you go through the dash?
We did the dash, put all new gauges in it, electronic gauges, put a nice stereo system in it, so I get on the road and listen to the stereo, believe it or not.
Nice.
We actually put an automatic in the car. It's got a power glide transmission in it now, behind a Ford motor.
All right, so can we take a look at that motor since you're talking about it?
All right. Okay, here we go.
All right, so we have a good V8 here. What do we have here?
Yes, we have a late model 302 motor in it. Nothing fancy, all stock.
All right.
That makes probably 80 horsepower, 190 horsepower. It's got a 4-barrel intake on it. Headers, and that's about all that's been done to the motor.
Okay. A different distributor, I see, right?
Yes, I got this Chevrolet one-wire distributor that I could afford to put in there and just run it and drive it.
So it works with the Ford engine.
Yes.
There you go,
yes.
AutoZone.
Yes.
To get that. So anyway, modification, you said it had headers, and
I changed it over to an alternator. Like I said,
so what kind of transmission does this have?
it's got a power glide transmission in it now, 2-speed power glide.
Okay. What did these come original with?
This originally comes with a 4-speed.
Okay.
Top loader, 4-speed in it. It had a Dana 4040 rearing in it. But now it's got a power glide 2-speed in it with a trans brake on it. It's got a Chrysler 8 3/4 rearing in it. I got 3 different gear changes for it. So.
All right. So this car, throughout the 50 years that you've had it, right? Or 52 years, sorry. It's gone through a lot of changes, I see. I mean, you've got a different engine in here, and I know you've had some other engines in it, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'd say we need to take a ride on this thing and see how, you know.
I think we do, yes.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
All right.
Okay.
So I appreciate the ride you're taking with us this sunny day of Florida.
Well, I sure appreciate you coming out.
I mean, it's great to take a drive in the convertible. And not many convertibles I've been interviewing, but I'm slowly doing a couple of more. Anyway, the hood scoop on this car, is that factory?
Yeah, they were a factory, well, they're actually an option in the factory. But they were steel hoods. This is a fiberglass hood.
Okay. So now those hoods, were they put on with any purpose, or were they just aesthetic?
No, they're for racing.
Oh, okay.
For road racing, yeah. For overheating problems, they dissipated the heat.
Because they were in the Le Mans, right?
They raced in Le Mans, but they fell out after, I don't know how many laps or hours it was. But
due to overheating.
Due to overheating problems, yes.
But after that, so this car was made by Roots, but in co-ops with Carroll Shelby, of course, right?
Right, with
the engine-wise, at least.
Yeah, they were sold by Chrysler. Chrysler was involved with them at the time. Carroll Shelby was involved with Chrysler. So Chrysler didn't have a motor to put into them because the distributor is in the back on a Chrysler motor.
Gotcha.
Here. So that's why they went with the Ford motor.
So they also did rallies, from what I understand, the European rallies. So this car was a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, they're multi-purpose cars. They're used for, not too many of them were used for drag racing though, but there was a few out there that raced and dragged.
And you raced and dragged them as well, right?
Right, I raced this car and dragged it.
So what was your best time with this car?
Best time was 920s, 148 quarter mile. Motor I had in at that time was the 363 cubic inch motor.
Okay.
Had twin turbos on it. Was sponsored by Turbo Horsepower. Tuned by Dyno Edge in Albuquerque. Now it's just back to just a driver now.
So this car went through a couple of different engines in your hands, I see, right?
Oh gosh, yes. Like I say, originally started out with the 260, and then it went 289, and then went 331, 347, 363, various motors. It even had an LS motor in for a while.
An LS motor?
Yes, I forgot to mention that. We even put an LS motor in for a while, but
wow.
That lasted for about a year. It was just over my head with all the electronics.
Yeah.
So I took that motor out and sold it, and went back to a stock 302 now.
Gotcha.
We're enjoying retirement life down here in Florida with the car.
So the transmission too, it's a different transmission.
Yeah.
I believe you mentioned that. A lot of people that were born in the 60s and 70s probably recognize this car somehow if they used to watch that series, the old school series Get Smart.
Right.
But theirs was a different
that was an Alpine.
Sunbeam, right?
Yeah, it was a Sunbeam Alpine with that series.
Now those were aesthetically kind of the same car,
exactly
right?
the same cars, aesthetically, just they had a 4-cylinder in them.
4-cylinder. Now this, from what I read, this car, Lord Roots, which was the owner of Roots, right?
Right.
He didn't know actually what they were doing to this car kind of until the last minute, right?
It's kind of secretive, yes.
And because they said he was a kind of a grumpy guy, I
He's
read.
kind of a grumpy old man.
So it's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
But I think after he took the test drive, he said, "Okay, let's do it."
Okay. And he did have, I think he ordered right away 3,000 motors from Ford, I believe.
Yes.
Or something in that realm.
Something in that range, yes.
And from what I heard, that's one of the biggest orders that they've had for an engine at the time. Which that's pretty cool.
Right.
And I love the how it rides. I mean, even though it's a car, it's low down to the ground. It's got a very low stance to it, especially with the tires that it has. But it's not too bumpy. It's pretty much a smooth ride. Did you have to do any alterations between all the engines? Because I know they all had different weights to them, different sized engines. Or did you just use the altered front end that you have constantly?
I just changed front springs in it. I put a bigger pound spring in the front. I changed the leaf springs in the back to a stiffer type leaf spring. Added an extra link to it. Put a Chrysler 3/4 rear in it instead of a Dana 44.
Okay.
And now it has the Power Glide 2-speed in it that I'll keep in there. I just enjoy it. It still gives it a little race feel.
All right, so I mean, I really appreciate the time you gave us, and this weather's great. It's cool. Do you have a special shout out you want to give to anybody before we go?
Yes, I'd like to big shout out to Turbo Horsepower in Albuquerque, the Dyno Edge in Albuquerque, and to Chase Griffin for all his help. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Joe Gallagher too.
That's great. And anybody else?
That's my wife. I can't forget her. Darn it. She's been a real big supporter of the car, even though she's not a real car person.
Yeah.
When I met her, she was driving a Renault.
Oh, a Renault?
Yes.
What, the Le Car?
Just an old piece of junk Renault, So met her driving down the road. I wasn't in the car at the time. I was actually in my pickup truck, and she has nothing. She supports my racing.
That's great.
At times, even though it's gotten pretty expensive. But now that we're both retired, I'm just enjoying the car down here in Florida.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
I mean, I had to ask you if there's anybody else, because I know you having the car for 50 years, I thought there was a lot more people involved, but actually the people that, hey, why have a lot if you got a handful of good people, right?
Yes, right.
All right.
Really good support. I appreciate it.
So if you guys like this episode from Jerry and Danny, like and subscribe. We'll see you guys later.